We didn't understand, even though we hadn't missed a payment, that the margin loan could be called in at the drop of a hat.
And we didn't even know at that time, we were so naive, we didn't even know at that time that it was pulled against the house, because we always said that was our number one, that we didn't want to touch our house because we were quite conservative. It didn't end up being that way.
You're listening to Property Investor Tales, stories from the front yard. Here's your host, Tabitha Bright.
Hello and welcome to Property Investor Tales. Stories from the front yard, where I get to speak to property investors from around Australia about their investing journey. My name's Tabitha Bright and I'm the head of coaching here at Positive Real Estate, where we help people build wealth through property. With over 8,000 clients across Australia and New Zealand, there are some incredible stories to tell, which hopefully make your investing journey that little bit easier and will inspire you along the way. So my guests today are Helen and Ian Morse. They're going to talk us through some of the hard lessons of not understanding your risk fully, overcoming the fear of loss to move forward and successfully invest, and how they took off over 12 months out of their day jobs to travel, which was a massive goal and dream of theirs, and they got to tick that off. So enjoy this conversation with Helen and Ian. Helen and Ian, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Tab. Thanks for having us.
Thanks. It's lovely to see you. Thanks for having us.
Oh, lovely to see you too. So today we've got quite a story. It's a story that I would summarize as the key topic being courage and bravery. And so I guess I wanted to start from the place that when I first met you guys, you'd had a bit of a ride. So I met you in 2010, and 2008, December, you guys had pretty much lost a pretty sizable chunk of money. You'd been working with a financial planner, and you'd understood. And the financial planner had put you into a commercial property managed fund that was far riskier than you guys realised. Is that right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, much so.
Our fault, probably. We hadn't done our due diligence, I guess. Yeah.
We just trusted.
Yeah, we trusted him. Yeah.
Okay. And from there, you had a margin loan. So what that meant was that you'd invested a certain portion of money, and then you'd borrowed again double that investment against your home that you'd paid off.
Yeah, but we didn't realise that at the time.
Yeah.
It wasn't explained to us that had even happened.
Right, okay. And then I guess when the GFC hit, the managed funds were decimated and your loan was called in, and you suddenly, and within a very short time, which is common with margin loans, you found that you had to pay back a substantial loan in a very short period of time, and that meant mortgaging your home. Yeah,
it was the full amount. We didn't understand, even though we hadn't missed a payment, that the margin loan could be called in at the drop of a hat.
And we didn't even know at that time, we were so naive, we didn't even know at that time that it was pulled against the house, because we always said that was our number one, that we didn't want to touch our house because we were quite conservative. It didn't end up being that way.
Right. You did recover some funds because you went via the Ombudsman, and it was a long process, wasn't it?
That was probably a couple of years and a lot of headaches.
Headache, tears, frustration.
Bottles of wine.
Bottles of wine. We were lucky in one respect that with Ian and I, it was like a rollercoaster ride, and when he was up, I was down. When I was up, he was down, and we got through it just by, supporting each other
and a lot of help from a lot of people.
Yeah, lot of friends. lot of tears over spilt milk, I guess. But we got there in the end, I suppose.
Yeah. We learned a lot.
Yeah, and I think one of the themes that comes, well, there's two themes that I see, because I've worked with you guys from 2010, although there was a bit of a gap, which we'll talk about, from 2010, and so we've got to know each other very well over the years, and I'd like to think have built a good solid relationship, and we can have frank conversations, which, it's rare in your life to have people that you could have those frank conversations with. So.
Yeah. No, you're amazing.
No,
that was. Thank you, but it was actually meant to say that you're amazing. And you've been an absolute pleasure to coach over this time. And you've been a pleasure to coach because you are able to self-analyze, and you are able to take the coaching, which is really valuable. But taking a step back, the two things that have come through from me coaching you, what I've noticed is, how you work together as a couple and how you do support each other, even though, like we were chatting today, Helen, you and Ian are very different personalities. Absolutely different.
I hope so.
Do you want to give us a quick snapshot on what that looks like? So people understand. People that don't know you, yes.
Okay, so Ian is the grounded, probably sensible one. I'm the big picture person. The one that likes to think that I can see, the overall picture, and then Ian's the more attention to detail. So really, although we're really different, I guess we make a good team in that respect. That he does get frustrated because as soon as he starts talking money, bank accounts, bills that need paying, I'm like, I'll see you later. All to Ian. But that's just in my nature, and that's just who I am. And I used to make excuses for it. However, I'm not making excuses anymore, because I guess we're both good at different things.
Yeah.
But you still have to show an interest in details that,
I realise
that you're not overly interested in.
Yeah.
And it's important when you're building a portfolio, right, that you have both of these skills in your skill set. And for couples, it's often really valuable, right, because you do get to have that mix of yin and yang. You have the big picture optimist, and you have the grounded detail person. And for those of you that are single, and you may not have the benefit of that are watching the podcast, don't despair. That's what a coach is for, to fill in some of the gaps for you if you don't have that. But if you do as a couple have that, it really is an extra bonus. And I see where couples can get that to work and communicate really effectively. It is a massive strength when you're building a portfolio, because it's never straightforward, is it, guys?
No, it's never straightforward.
But it's also good to have a third party like yourself.
Yeah.
Because when we can't nut it out between the two of us, it's good to have an imperfect third party to speak.
To agree or disagree with either of us.
Not even necessarily agree or disagree, but give us different
insight.
Take sides.
It is. It's an insight, and options, and someone with your skills, that I think you show is that we always have a laugh at the end of the day, and we trust you, and we just, that value is really beneficial for us to
sometimes
know that
makes
we can
the water a lot clearer than what we can see at the time.
Awesome. Oh, well, I'm glad I'm adding some value in there. It's, I've had coaches for most of my professional life, and I've always found sometimes they don't always tell you what you want to hear, but they certainly provide some thinking fodder at the very least. So
And
hopefully,
feedback and direction. Even if it's direction, maybe that I guess you have to go away and think about, and which we do.
Yeah.
Do a bit more soul searching.
Yeah.
Awesome. And so this brings me to the second thing that I've really noticed with you guys, and that is your innate courage, your bravery, because you came along to one of our information nights and you sat down with me and we had a good chat about your circumstances, and you did share in that meeting that you'd had this challenge where you'd lost this sum of money that was really important to you, and you were still, I think, in that period of reeling from what that meant for you guys, because you had your home paid off and you were in a good position, and then this hit and it changed your position almost overnight. And so you joined our mentoring program, and then I remember I reached out to you a few times, and it was like it went silent. Have I still got you guys there? Oh, yep, great. Sorry.
Yeah. Froze for a second.
That
might be us. You. I don't know.
Yeah.
You're there. All good.
Wonderful. And so, just in case you didn't catch that, that after you enrolled in our mentoring program in education and coaching, I reached out a couple of times and I couldn't reach you. Do you want to talk about what happened there? Because I always frame courage and bravery as something that you have despite the fear. So you can't have courage without fear. And sometimes the fear, when you've had an experience like you guys had, can be, pretty substantial. And is that what happened for you guys when you first joined up? Because I didn't speak to you really for about 2 years. I was double checking the notes in the system.
Yeah. I can only speak from my own point of view that when we signed up, we knew we had to do something. So we signed up.
Yeah.
But then for me, the thought of investing again, one, I had no confidence really in what we would, not as in investing in housing, but what I was doing.
Yeah.
I didn't understand. And I was scared of losing what little bit I had left. Mm-hmm. So it took me a little while to get my head around that.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Yeah.
Helen?
And with myself, very similar, I guess. The way, because we're pretty same in those respects, and it's just something that just knocks you for six, and you.
Yeah.
It's not just the fact of trusting other people. It's trusting yourself as well. And you go off and do a lot of soul searching. I guess a little bit of research.
You go through stages
and you go
as well,
through
where
stages.
You're angry.
Yeah, you're angry, you're frustrated.
Of course.
And life moves on regardless. So you're doing other things as well.
Yeah.
Maybe we had other things going on at the time. I can't really remember.
Yeah, because I remember you reached out to me a little bit later on in the journey, and you just said, we've got to do something. We're here.
Yeah.
We were caught up, and we're going to move forward. We've just drawn a line in the sand now, and this is where I started to see some of this bravery that I keep referring to, because it's been a constant theme. Because then you went out, and I've made some notes here. You went out and you've bought property in New South Wales, WA, 2 in Queensland, and you've got your property in Victoria as well, in Melbourne. So to come from such a place of fear to then, obviously with some coaching, some guidance, some support. And it hasn't been a smooth journey. Property hasn't always performed when we've wanted it to. And despite that, you've still moved forward, and you're in this fantastic position now where your portfolio, you've got exposure to all of the major markets in Australia. And for anyone listening at the moment to understand that you've got property in Brisbane, in Newcastle, in Perth, in Melbourne, to be poised like you are and positioned while the market's about to do what it's about to do now, is just fantastic. And I am like, everything to the universe. We're just now waiting, because you're perfectly positioned. We're just now waiting for that market to deliver that capital growth.
I don't think that we would have. I don't know what we would have done if we hadn't have met you guys and had that. I don't know if you call it bravery, courage, or madness, or whatever. Or an extra glass of wine the night before, perhaps. I don't know. But we don't know really where we would have, where we'd be now if we hadn't come back and set some goals, set strategies with your help, obviously.
Bit the bullet.
Just moved away from what's gone on in the past to, we've just got to do this.
But it's also the other people that you put us in contact with as well.
Yeah.
I mean, Peter Gwynn, he's fantastic.
Yeah.
He sort of reassures you all the way.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's finance. Yep. Finance broker. Yep.
Yeah.
And even the other clients. I know you guys have formed some relationships with other.
That's the one thing I miss because of COVID, is not being able to go down.
Is to catch up with everybody.
In the evenings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People that we've, you've there's certain things in common. You've got this main umbrella of commonality with PRE, but we find that we have a lot more in common with.
And it's interesting to see what people are doing.
Yeah. And there's people that inspire us that are in PRE as well. So
people that you want to emulate.
Yeah. Not just the people that we meet up with, the other clients, but it's the other staff as well, and staff that have been with you and that have moved forward with their careers or personal life or whatever. It's an inspiring group.
Yeah, and it's that old adage about the company you keep, isn't it? Yeah. and that, and like I was saying to you, that's the question that I often come up against when I'm about to go and do something. I always say, now what would Helen and Ian do? And we chuckle about that one.
I've heard that said so much lately, because we did it wasn't so much of a blog. We did, we'll talk about, what we did a little bit later. I think that might be one of the questions. But we did a daily diary and daily photos on Facebook, and we had so many followers over that 15 months. And we've met people in all over the world on our travels. Yep. And we're still getting messages from people in their 20s, people in their 30s, people in their 40s, 50s, 60s. You inspire us to want to do what you've done in the
Let's
future.
talk about that, eh? Because what happened, guys, is these guys came and sat down with me, and sometimes property takes its time to perform. It doesn't always go up the next year after you buy it, and there can be some frustration around what we call the consolidation phase. So you've positioned yourself well, you've bought all your property, and then it's like, now what? And these guys had some big goals, and we went through their portfolio and we talked through where the different markets were at, what was happening, and what they needed to do. And for a lot of investors, it really is just about time in the market. It's kind of like baking a cake, and you can have all the best ingredients and you put them into the bowl and you mix it all up, but unless you give it time in the oven to bake, you don't have the result. And this is where these guys were at. And something that was super important to them was, Helen, there was your photography. Ian and Helen, I know, both wanted to travel. And we worked out that with their portfolio, because it wasn't going to cost too much to hold, We had buffers in place, and you guys had the ability to, da-da, I'll let you tell everyone.
We were able to, well, we kept saying we're going to do it.
Yeah.
And so we went to visit Tab one day and went to her office and I said, oh, when are we going to do this? We keep saying we're going to do it. And she said, right, okay, let's set a date. And we set it for 12 weeks.
Yeah.
From that meeting,
That's right.
over 3 months. And within that time, we rented the house out. We'd
put everything in
put all our stuff in storage.
Worked out a bit of a plan.
Yeah.
Quit your jobs.
Where we were going to head.
Quit the
jobs. where we're going to head. We've got a massive, great big world map in the study. And I mean, we already had kind of places that.
But we didn't know how we were going to plan it as in a circuit.
Yeah. So we had a lot of planning to do in that time. We had to sort out like things like bills and what else?
Yeah. Make sure the rentals were looked after.
Yeah, it was a full-on year. Full-on 3 months, 12 weeks, and then I still think we'd be gonna go if Tab hadn't said, okay, let's make a date.
So we're not going to talk about this again.
28th.
You come back and you haven't booked us time?
Yeah, 28th.
You're not going.
Yeah, there was some tough love, yeah?
So 28th of July it was, and we did 4 months in Africa.
Wow.
We did a month in Africa it's mostly camping as well. We did a month in Sri Lanka.
Month in Morocco, and about 4 months in South America, and then into Europe. For the grand finale.
For the last.
Yeah, nuts.
Yeah.
How long in total?
15 months.
15 months.
12.
We did overshoot the 12 months.
Yeah, because there were some strict parameters, right? Because we had. This is Helen's optimism coming into play.
That's where my optimism and my airhead comes in. We did outstretch that 12 months, but that we got into the UK at the 12th month mark, and we were in the UK for 3 months. However, we've still got lots of family and friends in the UK, so we did a lot of catching up.
A lot of couch surfing.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, we did. We around
South America.
Yeah, and at one stage we hired a what's it called? A Ford
Ranger.
Ford Ranger with the tent on camper on the top.
Yep.
We drove ourselves from
Cape Town through Namibia, Botswana into Zimbabwe.
Yeah, for a month we did that.
And that was the best.
It was. We weren't initially going to do that. We were going to go fly. Once we got down to Cape Town.
Oh, this is something else that we got to talk about, Tab. This is my challenge. The bit I missed out on.
What's that?
We didn't go to Nepal.
We didn't get there.
So is that the next thing that we're putting on the list?
We've got to organise that. We've got to organise. The problem being that everywhere we went in the world, we came across people that said you can't miss out on here, you can't miss out on there. So we came back with a bigger list than what we went with, which is it's great in a way. And what we did. We're so grateful and so lucky to have done what we've done, and got a lot of gratitude for the people that we met along the way, the experiences we had in every place. And we don't really have a favourite, do we? Because there are so many favourites.
They're all good for different reasons.
And so from a coaching perspective, you guys have ticked off some of your bucket list stuff, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And Yeah, but it's taken, and I come back to this courage and bravery thing, it's taken that courage and bravery, because to pack your life up in literally 12 weeks, and I mean, I remember, I hope you don't mind me mentioning it, your beloved dog passed away. You had everything just happened in that one short period of time. And we'd talked about what you'd wanted to do for a couple of years. And then we worked out that day when you came to see me and you said, this is the portfolio. It needs to do something before we can do something. I said, not true. You can do something now.
Yeah.
And we worked out that you actually could. And that was a massive step to take.
To recognise that fact was bloody awesome.
And so we're starting to have these conversations again.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
It's been a hard slog. We've had a hard slog since we've got back, really.
Yeah.
We've had a tumultuous time since we were there.
It's been crazy. Well, there's been COVID
and
and
the COVID one is.
To
But
be,
I think
to be honest, COVID
came at a
is good time for us. Yeah. Hey, look,
The only thing it wasn't good timing in a way, but it
Yeah.
turned out okay in the end, which it always does. Everything we've always done has always turned out in the long run.
yeah.
we couldn't get back into our own house.
Right, because you had tenants in there and they wanted to stay longer and
Stay longer, and you couldn't
They wanted
evict
to
them.
stay longer, and you can't evict during COVID.
yeah.
However, it worked out quite well. So we went and joined an agency that you go and house sit and pet sit, Mind a Home.
Yep.
And
Because there were budget constraints now that
there was budget constraints. Yeah, although we still had the rent coming in, we kind of overstayed our welcome over in Europe.
well, we didn't want to churn through your investing capital. We'd portioned a certain amount, and then the rest of it we wanted to quarantine because there's still a portfolio that has to perform and future security. Yeah.
And it's very easy to overspend, and it's very easy to very easy to go outside those boundaries when you're having so much fun.
Yeah.
And it's hard, and it's still hard to come back to reality. We're finding it still hard now.
Yeah.
We want to go again, but obviously we can't go overseas at the moment.
Yeah.
So because
traveling's hard.
Yeah. And we got to sort of settle down a little bit.
We know we've got to
sort
knuckle
out a few
down
bits
again.
and pieces.
And so this is the coaching again, right?
Yeah.
And and it's just interesting for people, and I hope you don't mind me sharing some of the dynamics here from a coaching perspective. Once again, you guys don't need to buy any more property. So it's not about buying more property. It's about letting your portfolio do its thing. But now in the interim between letting your portfolio gather its growth and pay down some debt and all of that fun stuff, get your rents up, aside from that, you're still living life and you've got goals you want to tick off, and you've just come back from this massive trip. You've been crash landed into real life again, having to get jobs, consider what are you going to do. You don't want to go back to what you were doing potentially. There's all this.
Reasons that we did go
That's
away.
why we went. We promised each other we would not go back to what we were doing before.
Right. And so there's been some challenges in that space with shift work, with so then this is this fear around, well, what if this happens? And then it starts to kind of happen. And then it's how do you work through that? So now we're at the point where we're re-engaging for coaching because Helen's big picture again. She's like, I'm off, we're traveling, come on Ian.
What's our next adventure?
The gypsy. And Ian, you're sitting more like, well, we've got to work out how's all this going to work financially? What are we doing? What are we quarantining? So we're having all those conversations now about what it looks like moving forward. And being so brave, you've put your house on the market. I think I can share that. Or you've
photos on this week.
Photos tomorrow.
Yep.
Yeah, photos tomorrow.
Because it's a big property that you've currently got and you're empty nesters now.
We are.
And new
a
grandparents.
new little grandson though, but
Aw.
obviously he doesn't take up much space at the moment.
And so now we're looking at, well, what do we do with those funds, and where are you going to live? Can we buy well and be left with some more capital? And can you do some more travel? And what does that look like? What does it mean for jobs? What does it mean for everything else that you've got ahead of you for the next 10, 20, 30 years? And they're exciting conversations. And now we've just got to work out, well, you've got to work out. I should stop saying we. It's like the royal we, because I'm coming along with you vicariously.
Yeah.
I guess it's we've got to basically we have had a short conversation with you, I guess. So we have to come back in and sit down and with all our thoughts and our next set of goals. Ian's doing his, I'm doing mine, and then we'll go back in, come back to see you and on Zoom or however we do it, and structure make another strategy, I guess, and structure it again so that we can
something that we got to aim for. You got in life. You got to have a goal, or something to aim towards.
It's so
dangle
much
that carrot.
Easier to get on with life and work, I guess, if you've got something at the end that it's gonna pay for.
It's easier to do something if you don't particularly enjoy it or you're not overly enthused about it, if you can see there's a goal at the end, a light at the end of the tunnel.
Amen.
Towards something.
Well, I think that's a wonderful note to probably wrap up on. And so if I can ask you one final question, is there anything that I should have asked you that I haven't? Is there anything that you would like to share with maybe the listeners or the viewers today that is really important that you've learned on your journey? Because you've had the ups and downs and the bumps, and I think we're coming through to the other side now. What would you share?
It won't happen overnight. As frustrating as it is, you hear all these stories that people make hundreds of thousands in next to no time at all in property. But more often than not, you just got to sit tight.
You gotta go with the flow to a certain extent, and take the goods with the bads.
Don't extend yourself so you can't enjoy life as well.
Enjoy yourself along the way, because otherwise
it becomes a chore and you'll just drop off.
You become resentful and you don't you're not enjoying anything, and then at the end of the day, who knows how long you can do these goals for, or do the goals that you want. You know, you might want to go up to Nepal, but if
I've heard Nepal twice now. It's on the radar.
We'll get there. Before we're all, before we've got everything that's aching too much, before we can do the climb. Do knock off small goals along the way, big goals along the way, instead of leaving it all for one day and then thinking, I can't do that anymore, late. And then you're regretting it.
Wow, amen to that.
Be strong and listen to your gut. I think that's the conversation we had before as well. Listen to your gut. Listen to your soul, I guess, of what it is you want actually out of life. Because one of my mantras is squeeze every drop out of life's sponge, because you just don't know what's around the corner.
Truer words never spoken. My friends, this has been an absolute joy having you here. Thank you so much for letting me talk through everything.
Thank you for guiding us on our journey, I guess, because if it wasn't for you, we probably wouldn't have
No, probably
Done
wouldn't
a
have
lot
done
of
what we
this.
have done. And we'll be back for more.
And we'll be back for more. Beware, look out.
Well, I look forward to maybe in 12 months' time we'll be having the Helen and Ian podcast part 2. Lovely. Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Thank
Dad.
you, and thanks to the whole team and all the other clients for taking us under their wing, I suppose, and helping us in our courage and
Support.
You've been incredibly brave and an absolute pleasure to coach.
Oh,
Thanks very much, Dad.
lovely.
All the very
Thank you,
best.
darling.
Thank
Ciao, ciao.
you.
All right,
Bye.
take care. See ya.
Bye.
Hey, thanks for listening to Property Investor Tales. Remember to subscribe so you get notified every time a new episode drops. As you can guess, I love hearing people's property investor tales. So if you'd like to share yours, then please get in touch with me via email at propertyinvestortales@positivementor.com.au. We would also love your feedback, and I would appreciate a 5-star review over on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Remember, you can watch all of these podcasts over on YouTube at Positive Mentor or at positivementor.com.au. Until then, take care, happy investing, and bye for now.